Going. All right, teammates. We are back once again. If this is your first time listening to the Move Swiftly podcast, welcome to the number one podcast on innovative teamwork. Great to have you. Looking forward to having you back for more. To my regular listeners, you already know what happens to your life, your day, your moment, whatever it is you want to call it. When you hit the play button on this show, whatever it is you're going through, a challenge, an obstacle, an idea, something you're struggling with, we are here to help indirectly help you get through it and tell you you're not going through it alone. Today, all the way from Australia, folks, it's the John Dwyer, founder of Institute of WOW. And let me tell you, when you guys know I do my research when it comes to the people that come on the show. When I heard his concept and I thought about I really actually broke down what he's doing. It's a great way for a lot of you business owners to develop systems, to develop a foundation for what you're actually going to be doing so you can provide for who you need to provide for. So all that being said, John, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very pleased to be here.
Yeah, and I'm looking on it right now, and I think you have a great setup. And where I want to start, where I normally start when it comes to people that have a lot of things going on, especially when it comes to the business owners that really are established, is how did things actually start for you? What is kind of the background story? What did you kind of see growing up, and some of the lessons, major lessons that you learned as you were coming up that gave you this entrepreneur mindset to, I'm going to build my own institution. I'm going to help businesses attract leads, all that kind of stuff. So I'll give you the mic to share that a little bit.
Yeah, sure, mate. Yeah, look, I'm from down under, as you can tell from the accent, and my business is called the Institute of WOW.com. And what we are is probably best as one to just highlight, what we do to start with. We're a direct response marketing agency. So therefore, we're not into helping businesses necessarily build their brand, because at the end of the day, a lot of our audience, pretty much 90% of our audience, are businesses that are doing less than 1 million or 2 million turnover. And they struggle to, I guess, compete against the 40-ton gorillas of their industry. So if you're not the Coca-Cola of your industry, then yeah, we tend to sort of subscribe to the theory that instead of traditional advertising agencies telling you to get people to fall in love with your brand so that they'll taste your product, we flip that and we say to you, look, get them to taste your product so they'll fall in love with your brand.
Mhm.
Because it doesn't matter how many likes you've got. If you sit around the table tonight and the kids are saying, Daddy, I love the fact that you got 400 likes today, but we have no food.
Yeah. And the thing is, I have to make sure I pause you there because I think what you're saying is so important because a lot of folks get into business these days and they think that the likes and what they do on social media and all the attention they're getting, they're excited about that. But like he just said, the likes don't equal receipts. They do not. You can get a lot of likes, you can get a lot of people looking at your stuff, and you're not going to actually see profit. And one of the things that you actually said in one of the videos I'd watch about you is, or watch that you put out, it was very intriguing because I'm a sports guy. And you had made the mention of there's a lot of businesses that go about sponsoring sports team and call themselves advertisers, but they have not thought of the ROI. They have not thought of how exactly am I going to take this money and it's going to come back. So when you develop this concept, because I look at it and especially when you're talking advertising, it's hard not to spend it. When you have it, it's like it's hard not to spend, especially for the companies that you mentioned that aren't doing as much in sales. When you have it, you feel like, all right, I'm gonna go get this shirt, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna do this. Walk us through a little bit about how you really had this insight and had this revelation. It was like, hold up now, let's be careful with how we spend the profits and make sure that stuff is coming back. When was that? When was that like that insight?
Yeah, look, 1,000 years ago when I left college, I thought I had a reasonably creative mind, and I was a complete idiot because I was putting advertisements together for a company here in Australia. We don't have much snow in Australia, and I know that you're in Orlando. You don't see snow very often either.
Right.
But
Well,
there
I
are
grew up
some.
I grew up in Maryland, so I'm about what 6 or 7 years in Florida now. So I know the snow life for sure.
You know the snow. So I would have been 21 or 22. I've just come out of college. I've got my advertising degree, and I think I know it all, of course. And I was a complete idiot. I got a job with a company called InSki, INSKI. So they actually sold ski equipment, and this complete moron who you're talking to decides to put an advertisement in the newspaper back in those days. This was the 1800s. I decided that I'd come up with a little tagline, and it was Inski, the place to go before the snow. I thought if it rhymed, they would just come into the shop and buy
It is
everything.
catchy though. It's catchy.
Yeah, and so therefore we heard the sound of crickets after that. There was no response at all. And anyway, cut a long story short, and maybe the sarcasm short, I found that, yeah, look, it didn't matter about the tagline, it didn't matter about the logo, it didn't. And don't get me wrong, for big businesses it does, but this was a relatively modest sized business as well. The moment I started to say, look, you come in on Friday, and up until 5 o'clock on Friday, for every $100 you spend in our ski shop, we will give you a movie ticket. All of a sudden, the light hit me, and I thought, hang on, it's all about the offer. It's all about the wow factor. And so no surprise, over the years, I honed my skills with this wow factor marketing. And what we say to businesses now is that if you're in a Me Too industry, in other words, you're putting the same solar panels, or what looks to be the same solar panels on the roof of homes as your competitors, then you need to stand out from the crowd with a wow factor.
Yeah. And well, man, that there's so much that you mentioned there, but I want to kind of go back to what you said. As I'm sure it wasn't actually 1,000 years ago, but there was there was some years, obviously, when you graduated college, and I'm assuming now social media wasn't a thing. I'm assuming the internet wasn't as big as it is, but one of the things that you've been able to do a great job of is figuring out something that's going to stand the test of time, regardless of how we communicate in today's world. Walk
Okay.
us through that principle, because again, what we see in business is things change. And I remember actually that time when TikTok went down, and there are people legitimately worried that they're going to lose their business because they haven't figured out other avenues towards staying engaged with people. So walk us through how you've been able to stand the test of time with the actual wheel that you have, and the principles and things of that nature.
Yeah, well, look, I'm a baby boomer, and so therefore I've got six millennial children who are all grown up
Ah,
now.
there you go, the kids, yes.
Yeah. So they remind me that I'm a baby boomer every time I think I'm funny, and I'm not, and they say I'm not. Yeah. And so look, really, there's nothing changed. I mean, the ideas in terms of direct response marketing are still exactly the same now as they would have been 10 or 20 or 30 years ago.
Mhm.
Obviously, with AI, things are changing faster than ever before. I mean, part of our business now is providing AI robots to answer the phone for all of our clients, So little did I think that would come around if you'd asked me 10 years ago. And I'm sure even at your age group, you probably didn't see it coming. But nothing's changed. The platforms might have changed. And so therefore, what you may have used to do on TV or radio or newspapers or magazines now gets done on, YouTube, or gets done on Facebook or Instagram. But no, really, at the end of the day, the principles of direct response marketing are five things. And whoever's in business that might be listening to this, I think it'd be worth writing these down. Number one, if
Mhm.
you're going to market your product, then highlight your target audience's problem. Number two, aggravate that problem. Number three, provide the solution. Number four, provide proof, which generally speaking is testimonials. And then number five, provide a very strong CTA, which is a call to action. Basically, what it is, it's problem solution marketing. Highlight the problem of your audience and then give them your solution.
Right. And also too, because of social media, the opportunity that you guys have is you guys, and I do it myself, everyone should be using social media in this way, is why do they want that solution from you? You what
Yeah.
the only the pretty much the biggest thing the internet can do is allows you to put your personality on the internet, and it basically is a calling card or like a sign to people who have your problems and say you want it from me because I know XYZ, constantly reinforcing to your ideal client that this is a problem that you are very versed in, that you're an expert in, and that you can solve. That's something that you have should be wanting to do every single day if it's the right problem. I want to make sure we're clear on that. If it's the right problem, you won't be able to sleep until you solve it. You're gonna want to do it so bad. It's gonna eat at you and eat at you and eat at you until you actually solve it. And I'm bringing all that up because I want to give you the opportunity to speak a little bit about who is your ideal client, who specifically out there that is listening, that you will say, look, that's the kind of person I want to serve. I know you mentioned the dollar amount, but when it comes to the mindset of a business owner, I mean, I know, again, listen, as I look through your stuff, you're not going to just work with anybody, right? It's going to be a certain person with a certain mindset. So I'll let you speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they're client based these days. As I said, they tend to be small to medium sized businesses. I came from the corporate background. So here in Australia, I was looking after clients like McDonald's and 7-Eleven and
Mhm.
involved in Kellogg's, cornflakes and so forth. And about a dozen years ago, I said to my wife, look, we're not getting any younger. Why don't we actually, cut up this intellectual property that we've got for direct response marketing and do what Anthony Robbins does, get on stage and make it available for small
Yeah.
businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make a
So
move. Have
that,
you, have you been to a conference?
yeah, I've been to lots of, Anthony Robbins, whenever he comes down under, yeah, it's a must-do event, I'm afraid. There's no one like him. And
I
yeah, so
saw this book,
we
Make Your Move, is when he goes and make a move, make a move.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's where it came from. Yeah.
Oh, really? Is that where it came
Yeah.
from? Good.
Yeah.
No, he's got a few dollars out of me over the years, and so that's what we did. And these days it's more webinars, because jumping in a plane and going from city to city doing seminars is just silly when you can do it online.
Mhm.
However, when I got involved with smaller businesses, what I found is that they didn't want any advice. Okay, and I used to bet get paid from the bigger businesses a reasonable sum of money to give them advice because they had a marketing team of 10 or 12 or 15 people that could make what I gave them happen. And what I found with the butcher baker candlestick maker is that they were screaming at me, but I wasn't listening. And they're saying, no, give me a done for you package. I haven't got time to learn all of this stuff. I want it done for me. Now, there are some exceptions. There are some exceptions to the rule, and people who will stay after 5 o'clock and go to bed at midnight and get up at 5.
Mhm.
But the large majority of smaller businesses are very good technicians. And so what happened is that they went to college and they became a very good dentist or doctor or butcher or baker. They had their certificates so that they passed all the exams, but not once throughout those 3 or 4 or 5 years at university did anyone teach them how to get a client. They have no clue about marketing. And so this idiot who you're talking to thought that just like Anthony Robbins on stage, and then they became a client, I would teach them the principles of direct response marketing. And I was a fool because there was only a small percentage of them that could actually implement. They were too busy in their lawn mowing business, or they were too busy in their dental practice, or whatever it may be. So what we've done is that we've created a direct response marketing agency where we do it for them. So if they want a gazillion leads off Facebook, we do it for them.
Yeah.
If they want to have let's call it a Happy Meal toy, we provide them with a Happy Meal toy. So we do it for them because we found they haven't got time to do it themselves.
Yeah, and that's actually so every Sunday I have a segment that I do with my good friend Kimberly Blue, and she runs an HR company, and we were discussing like legal terms when it comes to HR and how to do all that stuff. And I remember mentioning to her, look, you got to hire certain things out. As business owners, you love doing what you do, or as high level professionals, whether it's a dentist like you mentioned, you're gonna love doing the thing, but the business aspect of it, or whatever the aspect of it is that you don't want to do, you simply got to pay someone to do it the right way. Because if you try to do it yourself, or you may pay for a seminar and then try to get information, it becomes just too much to actually balance, to where you just got to put it in your budget that you're going to pay for someone to do this specific thing and make sure it's all done. If you could provide that service, folks, then you will be in business for a long, 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 long time. So, all that being said, I do want to be very respectful of your time. Can you just talk us through a little bit about what's next, what's your vision for the future? I saw you have a couple books out. What is the what's the next plan, man? What's the next step?
Okay. I'll name drop here for a second, but many years ago, I had a client which was the bank down under, and this is a classic example of taking people's eyes off the price. There's no product out there like home loans where people, in terms of people shopping, okay? Because obviously, if you get a home loan for 6.2% from the Wells Fargo Bank, you're going to go down the road at the time and have a look for the home loan at 6.1%. And in Australia, there was a company called the Greater Bank, and what they did is that they were a small player. They were the 250th biggest business in Australia, but they were small compared to the Wells Fargo style banks. And got me to become a consultant for them. And they're up against the Wells Fargo. Now, we don't have Wells Fargo in Australia, but the big banks, I like that, okay?
Yeah.
And they were marketing their home loans on price. They were saying, come and get a home loan off the Greater Bank because, we can give it to you for 6.2%. Well, the Wells Fargo Bank in Australia was 6.1% within 5 minutes. I mean, it'd be like a little corner store taking on Costco on price. It's never going to win. So I said to them, aside from seeing a psychologist, I said, you're not going to win this fight. You've got to come up with a Happy Meal toy. You've got to have a wow factor. And I was doing some commercials on TV at the time for a travel discount company. So anyway, we introduced each other and we came out with a campaign, and it said, get a home loan from the Greater and get a free vacation. And so therefore, they took an extra 15 billion, not million, $15 billion worth of home loans in the first 2 years.
Mhm.
And this idiot who you're talking to charged a consultancy fee, not a percentage of the increase in home loans. Anyway, the end of the
Hey
story is,
man, but sometimes you just never know. But now that you're looking back on it, that would have been pretty sweet. Now that I'm
yeah,
thinking about the numbers myself, like oof, that would have been good. That would have been a good
that would
living.
be nice. Even if I just got 0.0001%,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I would have bought an island. Yeah. Anyway, a few years into it, it was going so well that I got Jerry Seinfeld to actually become the spokesman. So
Mhm.
therefore, I flew backwards and forwards to New York all the time, and yeah, it was a bit of a coup. So Jerry Seinfeld came on TV in Australia and said, "Get a home loan, get a free vacation," and
Nice.
if it was successful before we got him involved, it went through the stratosphere. Now, the reason I
That's a
say that
legend
is.
you got though, man. That's Seinfeld. They've been on for years.
Yeah, no, I've milked the daylights out of that for the last 10 years too, by the way.
And
But
nothing
yeah,
wrong
so
with it, man. Hey, if it works, keep up. I'm a football guy, so I always tell people, look, when you're running the ball, if that's working, you don't got to pass. Go and get the win. We don't even care.
well, so the lesson from that, and aside from my boasting and name dropping on your show, the lesson from that for everyone is that use price discounting or use price marketing as a last resort. We know that you have to, clear the shelves on your warehouse, and sometimes you need a cash flow injection, so you've got to drop your pants. Okay, we understand that, but don't make that the first option. Make the first option a Happy Meal toy. And so what we say is that McDonald's have been doing it for 40 plus years. They've got a toy in the box, and the kids don't care about the hamburger. It's all about the toy. Kellogg's have been doing it since the Flintstone toys were around.
That's right.
Amazon does it with their Prime membership. If you become a member of the Amazon Prime membership club, you get free shipping and free movies and so forth. You know what? But 97% of businesses don't do it. So whatever business you're in, start to think Happy Meal toys. Start to think, well, what can I give them to take their eyes off the price?
hmm Man, that's yeah. It's funny because I don't eat at McDonald's, but just the other day I had to use the bathroom and the McDonald's was right there, the only one there. And I looked in it and the interior design was incredible. It was they do so much more than just sell burgers. And you're 1000% right. That toy that attracts these kids, they don't care about the food. They go in, they get their Happy Meal toy, and they make billions upon billions upon billions. So all that being said, can you just tell people how they can get in touch with you if they want to work with you? Where do you normally send them?
Yeah, sure. Okay. My website is theinstituteofwow.com. And by all means, just yes, shoot me an email. It's John at theinstituteofwow.com. So yeah, shoot me an email. If there's anything I can do to help you, I'd be more than happy to.
Yes, and I will include all of that in the show notes as well. So, John, the final thing I do to close out all the shows is I want you to use your imagination a little bit. You've just graduated college. You came up with this incredible slogan and said, "Get your skis before the snow." And you present it and you're expecting this great, clap, and you just kind of get a silent room. Pretend that that version of you is here in the Zoom room with us. Give him some words of encouragement, and we will officially close.
My words of encouragement for anyone would be don't make the mistake I did back in my 20s, and that was I hung around with people who every time I came up with an idea said, "Oh, why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that?" And they were normally left-brain people, okay, accountancy style thinking people. "Oh, why would you do that? Why would you risk that?" And then I woke up to myself and started to hang around people who said, "Why not?" And I'd give them a crazy idea and they go, "Oh, why not? Why not? Give that a shot." So my view is that hang around people who say, "Why not?" Not
Yes.
people who say, "Oh, why?"
Yes, yes, that's incredible advice. So as the promise on this show is, you guys already know, whatever the challenge is, whatever the obstacle is, we're here to indirectly tell you you're not going through it alone. Everyone out there, fellow teammates, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.